So today's theme is connecting is all about others.
Yes.
All right. We're going to explore the key principles from chapter 2 of Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. We're going to encourage deeper understanding, and we're going to share some stories of like where we've gone right and where we've gone wrong.
Wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I like the topic, why great connectors focus on others and not themselves. If you could briefly tell me, why is it important, or should I, yeah, why is it important that great connectors focus on others and not themselves?
A couple of things. For one, I kind of like what Luciano Pavarotti says. He says, "I don't sing for me; I sing for the audience."
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if you ever heard this man's voice, but it's awesome. He did a duet with Tracy Chapman. She kind of does like, I think it's maybe folk music. I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
what that theme or that type of genre of music would be. You can catch it on YouTube, but they connected with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, they connected with the audience. The way she sung her part in English, the way he did his operatic type voice, it just like it grabbed the audience.
Mm.
It grabbed the audience. But going to your question about why is it important that it's not about us, it's about others. I think about several things, and I think about this story that's in chapter 2 about Carlos the tour guide.
Right.
Remember that one? And
Yes.
it's so incredible because John talks about he went to Machu Picchu, he
Mm-hmm.
saw the Inca ruins and everything. He loved it. He was so excited, had an incredible first time experience. Goes home, tells his wife Margaret and friends, "Hey, we're gonna go back in a few months, and we're gonna take some friends with us." He was so excited about the whole experience. But what happened when he got there? He got a new tour guide. Guy's name is Carlos. And the way he tells the story, you can almost picture it. And if whether you're reading the book, listening to him, or listening to him on audio, John pulls you in because he's connecting with you. But in this particular story about our friend Carlos, the tour guide, when he goes back to Machu Picchu, Carlos was just so disconnected. Carlos was just so into himself. And John and his wife and his friends were just so excited to be there, wanted to get the whole experience, but they couldn't get the great experience that he got
Right.
because Carlos, he made it about him. He didn't, as a tour guide, you would think, hey, these people are coming into my country. I want to give them a fabulous tour. I want to make it about them. I want them to come back. But no, it was like, it was also like just straightforward academic, uh, save your questions for later type thing. Just like in a classroom setting when you're taking college classes, right? It's about the instructor and academia and how great the instructor is and impressive and intelligent. And here, like lost in the sauce, what is this guy talking about?
Mm.
So even though you're taking this particular subject in school, because you have to, let's face it, if you want a degree or you want to graduate, the, and it could be a good subject, it could be a good topic, but if it's not communicated correctly to
Right.
what you need to hear, you're not going to excel.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We went to I'll share a story, kind of a Carlos moment.
yeah,
I went to a conference, and I won't say what the name of the conference was. And this conference had different speakers and trainers and all these other things. And there was a very clear understanding that the overwhelming majority of people there were people who like they valued other people and they were service first. And like not money wasn't the priority of their motivations.
right.
They were people who their cup is filled by serving other people.
Mm,
The a lady got up and she gave a talk about how to make the most money you can. And you could literally see the audience. I mean, it was thousands of people there. One by one, table by table, she lost the whole room. It was unbelievable. She
yeah.
had her spiel,
Hmm.
and she was going to say her spiel about how you can make the most money in all of these various ways doing what we do. But the room was not these money chasing people. It was service first and impact people. And it
Mm,
was kind of like the story of Carlos, where he just wanted to, give his random historical facts. And
yeah.
John Maxwell's like, one by one, he lost all of us, where we didn't even want to be around him. The only time we came around him is when we had to get back on the bus.
Yep.
And that's a brief moment where you could literally feel the disconnect, from what she was saying to the audience and what the audience valued. And it was, she totally lost us.
Oh my gosh, man. It's especially if you pay money for these things.
Right.
It's, I
Right.
paid for that.
Right. It doesn't resonate with me. And so
Mhm.
John and his group went on a tour
Yeah.
to have a connected tour guide, to be interested in them. And he even offered, like, remember, he said, I tried to ask him about his family and get connected with him. And he was just one word answer, just shutting down those connections. So they felt like, even though we're on the same bus, we're all alone,
Yeah.
and you're all alone, and we're not together.
Wow. Man, that's interesting. I can kind of relate to John's story about the tour guide because my wife and I, we had a similar experience. We were all excited about this.
Mhm.
This is when the doors were open to Cuba for us. So we decided, hey, well, the doors are open. Let's take the opportunity to go visit Cuba, right? So we had a tour guide. We were on a group tour, and the lady started off strong. We were on a bus, and she's pointing things out. We're driving down the street, and then they were going to take us to this cigar factory. Okay, yeah, let's go. Let's check it out. And what happens? We couldn't get in. I'm like, wait a minute, it's kind of what we paid for. And so she tried to get us to another one and then another one. It was like, by the time we got there, instead of having at least an hour and a half tour in the cigar factory, we had less than 30 minutes.
Mm.
And it was like, you rushed us through this. This was a one-time experience. You ever have those where it's just going to be a one-time experience and you're excited, but it just gets blown away because, they just weren't prepared. And I think as connectors, if we're communicating effectively, we just need to be prepared for the moment as well, and even the unexpected at times. I think, so.
Right. Finding out what the people what your audience is truly there for, or your counterpart in the conversation, and pouring into that thing that they're there for. Right. Yeah. That was the highlight of why you guys came, and you weren't able to. Able to do that. I believe I've had many moments where I had a Carlos moment.
Yeah.
In not a good way, where I'm doing the yapping. I'm like the chief yapologist and talking about me or my stupid thing or whatever thing I'm yapping about. And I've totally not done the investment in the other person in the conversation to see what's important to them. Why are they here? What do they need out of this interaction? Right. And so I've been guilty of being the Carlos as well, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, same here. It's like when I first started adjuncting, it was for one of the community colleges that was over at Fort Leonard Wood several years back. And it was just like I would read the textbook, the chapters, the material, but I would make it about just presenting material. Any questions? No. Okay, let's move on. This is what we're going to talk about next. Any questions? No. Okay, don't forget, you got a quiz next week based on everything we just talked about. So best of luck to you. Class dismissed. Because that's what I grew up with, whether in high school or taking a few college classes here and there until I graduated. So I thought that was the expected norm from academics. And unfortunately, it is at times. Did you notice the part where I think it's Tim Elmore talks about college professors, and he gives us this little poem, if you want to talk
ram it in, cram it in.
I thought that was hilarious, and I'm like, oh, that was me at one point until I really learned how to adjunct a little bit better. But yeah,
it kind of hints at the force feeding of your side of the interaction.
Yeah.
Rather than doing the work to understand their side of the interaction.
Right.
I'm here to, like Carlos, and Carlos was on a mission. Think about it. He was on a mission. He didn't really know who was in his group. It's like, dude, you have one of the premier leadership coaches in the world. Yes. But Carlos was focused on, I got to do my spiel. I got to say my stuff. And that's all that matters. And so he missed out on the treasure that was on the bus with him and on the tour with him, pulling on that. And so the next one he talks about, it's in our outline section 3. Why aren't they listening to me? Why aren't they listening to me? Um,
Oh my goodness. So this one, there's some hard truths for this for me, and I guess you as well, especially as a leader, a communicator. I
mhm,
mean, and it's a good question. Why aren't they listening to me? We could look at this from several different aspects, like, was I prepared? Did I
mm,
communicate effectively? Did I ask the right questions? Or as John is saying in this chapter, it's all about the others. Sometimes as communicators, what do we do? Look how impressive I am. Check out the vernacular I'm using. I articulate very well, blah, 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 and we lose our audience, man.
yeah,
We're not, like you said earlier, we're not making an impact. We're not providing value.
right.
We have to find out what the individual is expecting from us. And if we're not doing that, it just goes, you might as well throw a snowball in hell and just watch it melt rapidly, because that's how
Right.
fast it's going to go downhill. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. So, an operating question or a thought question: what's the real cost of being self-focused in leadership or communication?
Oh my
And
goodness.
there was a story he told about a CEO of a company in the chapter. And the
Hmm.
CEO was so disconnected. The CEO occupied the position of CEO, but was completely disconnected from the company that they were the chief executive office of. They stayed in their office. They didn't want to communicate to people. Whenever they walked, they were draped by security. He or she was draped by security
Yep.
guards. So there was this massive wall of disconnect
Yes.
between the chief executive officer and the team. And so the board picked up on this, and the CEO ended up getting replaced. And so the CEO, I'm imagining in their self-centered mind, why aren't people listening to me? Well,
Yeah.
you've created a grand canyon of separation between you and them, so they don't feel connected to you. And so that's a reason why sometimes people don't listen, is because we put up all of these either barriers
Mhm.
or accomplishments, or like you said, fancy vernacular. It's like,
Yeah.
bro, I can't connect with that. Like you're too much for me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because, and people, I think in that scenario that John, that you just mentioned, that John gives in the book, what it is, people were following. They were following, but they weren't listening. They were only following because they had to, and that's what they got paid to do.
Mm,
Uh, Remember some of those scenarios we had to go through in our military career?
yes.
Platoon sergeant, first sergeant, platoon leader, company commander, sergeant major, whatever. I'm only listening because I have to. I'm
Yes.
only following because I have to, not because I feel that you're a great connector or a great leader. But
Oh my gosh.
you
Okay,
know,
we gotta unpack this. What
yeah,
so uh, teaching a lot of classes teaching a lot of classes in the local region, we do a lot of leadership development.
yeah,
And one of the things we ask is, other than the fact that they need a paycheck, I need you to write down why someone should follow you.
mm,
And that was an early question in our leadership development program. Other
yeah,
than the fact that they need a paycheck, exactly what you said, right? I need a paycheck. You outrank me. You told me to go there, and I'm going to do that. But I'm going to do the bare minimum. It's going to be tacit compliance
hmm
because I'm not connected to you yet. We're not
hmm
connected yet, or whatever. And so, as a leader, why won't they fully commit? Well, did you connect? Did you
yeah.
prove that you were worth? Did you prove that you were worth following? So
hmm
you brought up that very very good point, and I just wanted to co-sign on what you just said.
Oh man, yeah. Like it's we. I think we've all been there, whether private sector, military, nonprofit, uh, religious organizations, what have you. We I think we've all been there at one point. What's the real cost of being self-focused in leadership or communication? And that's what it is. And I understand that with for-profit organizations, it's about the bottom line. It's about the double bottom line where you got to make a profit. If not, you're not going to be in business very long. If you're not going to do it effectively, then all these people that you hired are going to be left unemployed eventually. So, and it is, you're right. The bare minimum is what we do. We meet the standards, check the blocks sometimes because this person is just hard to follow. It's just hard to connect with this person.
Mm. So I've got a point, and let me know what you think. To answer this question, What's the real cost of being self-focused in leadership or communication? I wrote this and I'd like to know your thoughts. You miss an opportunity to learn and serve where the need actually is,
Oh, I love it. I love it.
right?
And
Because if I'm
yeah,
leading and I got my Brian Rush leadership philosophy, blah, 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 but I miss the fact that you actually need a different type of leadership or you need something else from me. I'm leading somewhere where you ain't following because you don't, that ain't what you need right now.
right.
Right. And
Yeah.
kind of like the people who started that franchise,
Mhm.
they saw it was, I forget the name of it in the book. They
Oh,
started a franchise.
Gloria Jean's Coffee, I think.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they had an American style franchise, but where
Mhm.
in their host country, that's not what the people needed or wanted at the
Wow.
time.
Yeah.
They needed, hey, where's the food? We want to sit down or whatever. So once they stopped becoming kind of self-focused leadership and letting the customer or the people tell them what they
Yeah.
needed, then they adjusted. So they became people-focused leaders. So yeah. So what do you think? You missed the opportunity to discover and serve where the need actually is.
Oh my God. It goes back to who Kathy is?
Say that again.
Founder. You know who Truett Cathy is, right? Founder of Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
Same scenario, and I think John covers it in one of his books as well. The Chick-fil-A was getting so big, I guess his board members were saying, okay, we got to expand, we got to get bigger. This is, we got the money to do it, let's do it, and let's do it. And he said, no, the customers will let us know when to expand and when to do it. I'm paraphrasing, but it was the same concept. And you're right, and about the point that you brought up, that it has to be about the customer. It has to be about the other individual. Like going back to what you said a moment ago, that if I'm leading somebody and I'm taking them into to the unknown, I'm taking them in the wrong direction when we should be going, maybe you know 10 degrees to the left, basically,
Right.
to help get that person focused and get them back on task to that destination. And if we're not finding out what that need is, or finding out uh, what the disconnect is, right?
Right.
Because there may be a disconnect in the brain somehow, to say they're not connecting, and I don't know why. So now, how do I find out about that?
Right.
What you said, by asking a bunch of questions. How
Mhm.
can I help? Why isn't this connecting? And sometimes you got to ask the hard questions, like, is there something wrong with me that I'm not communicating this effectively to you?
Mhm.
And it sounds like an arrogant way of putting it, doesn't it? But you have to be genuine about it and say, look, what is it that I need to do to connect with you so we can move on from here to here, to where we can set you up for success?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's one of those great connective questions. What can I do with this interaction to where you feel like you got what you wanted to get out of it? Because I got my ideas, but I could be totally off. What do I need to do in this interaction to make you feel like you were enriched and you were poured into during this interaction?
Yeah.
If we kind of approach things like that, then
Mhm.
we wouldn't be assuming, like, for example, you as a leader, you could think the audience needs inspiration when they actually might need technical guidance,
Oh, yeah.
right? Like, no, 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 we don't need to be inspired right now. We need steps 2, 3, and 4.
Hmm.
That's what would really connect with us and serve us well.
Yeah.
And approaching them with that curiosity, I guess that humble curiosity would equip you to give them what they need. And then they'll be like, okay, that person can help me. They understood what I wanted. They cared about what I wanted. Then
Yeah. Yeah.
they gave me what I
Oh,
wanted. So
I like
that's
that. I
something
love
for
it.
me. Yeah, I'm learning this in real time. So like I'm verbalizing what I'm learning. So please
Yeah.
don't
Same here, bro. Same
yeah,
here.
whoever listens to this, don't think we're like these geniuses. We're learning this in real time and and discussing it. Um, the light bulb moment from communicator to connector. Let's talk transformation. When did you realize connection was about others and not about you? When was
Uh,
that light bulb moment?
uh, unfortunately, a little bit later than sooner. Because you think you're doing things correctly, you think everything's okay, and because you get this, you like, kind of get like, yeah, and people are not, yeah. Hmm. That's it. So you think in your mind, they're like, oh, they got it. They understand. But what they're really doing is, I can't wait for this guy to stop talking so I can get out of here and go get some lunch. So it's funny because when we figure this out, and I figured it out later on in life. If I would have figured it out when I was a young soldier, as a squad leader, a young platoon sergeant, what have you, I think I would have been a little bit more effective in the lives of others. Uh, and I thank God that I was in the Army for the amount of time that I was in, because it helped me in a lot of areas that I really needed for discipline, focus, and so on. But to answer your question, when did I realize it was about others and not about me? Yeah, again, it was like a little bit later on in life. I will probably say, honestly, maybe in my early to mid 40s.
Mm.
Because if I communicated, I wanted to sound effective. I wanted to sound like an academic. I wanted to sound like I was just communicating and resonating with every word that came out of my mouth. And it just, in reality, it wasn't like that.
Mm.
So when people start asking, like, why are you like that? Why do you start talking? And you've heard the expression, oh, that's just me. That's just the way I am.
Right.
No, man, it's time to grow and develop. So, but to answer that question, I would probably say in my early to mid 40s when I finally figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
you
think I
know,
was shoot, it maybe probably 7 years ago.
yeah,
And it wasn't even like I'm like you. It hit me from the side. It
yeah,
wasn't some natural conclusion that I came to. It hit me from this like a sledgehammer.
mhm, yeah,
And I was in intermediate course, and they were saying you need to write down the the um the key personnel that can influence the outcomes that you want,
hmm,
right? And you need to write down what they need to align with you. And I was like, what? It seemed ridiculous. It's like but this is what I want. Why am I
yeah,
writing down what they need? And they made us understand very clearly, if you don't concern yourself with what
yeah,
they need, it doesn't matter what you're bringing to the table.
hmm,
They need to be understood. You need to value what they need, so then they can align with you, and then you guys can kind of mutually serve each other. And Joe, it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was just like, look, I'm smart and I'm an air traffic controller, and they should just be blown away by, if I say the right words, they should align with me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, no, not at all. If you don't know what they actually want, it's and value that and try to
yeah.
deliver that, you're wasting your time. And it totally changed the way I thought. But yeah, it hit me like a sledgehammer from the side.
Wow, man, that just, and it does. But you know what? It's so funny because I know there are, people that still live today from like 20 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
that they're still living under that old leadership philosophy that they developed. Like, just do as I say, not as I do. Do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it, and come back to me when you got a moment. I had this one company commander. It was like very unapproachable, stayed in his office, would get out from time to time. But his thing was, you didn't speak to him unless he spoke to you first.
Oh, wow.
You gave the greeting of the day, good morning, sir, good afternoon. That was it, and you kept going.
Mm.
That, and then I had other company commanders that were great, and other first sergeants and other leaders that were great. Hey, how's it going? How's the family? What do you think you're going to do on your physical fitness test next week? How do you think you're going to do on it? What do you need from us? So there were those, and I wish I would, as a young leader at that time, I wish I would have taken those little nuggets that they were, and I didn't even know they were just gold. They were golden then, and I just thought it was just a general conversation.
Yeah.
But now, fast forward 25, 30 years later, it's like, wait a minute, that works. you know?
Right. Right. The prompt says, why is it counterintuitive, especially in business or sales? And they're referring to a Zig Ziglar quote: if you help people get what they want, they'll help you get what you want. Why do you think that
Oh,
might be counterintuitive?
I got to answer it like this first. Going to Zig Ziglar, not the Zig Ziglar quote. I had the opportunity about 15 years ago to listen to him speak
Mm,
for maybe 15 minutes in Springfield, Missouri. When he was there with a bunch of other guest speakers as well. But he had just had a stroke as well at that time, I think. And his daughter had to like keep him guided into the conversation. But he was still Zig, man.
mm.
The dude was still Zig, and I was like, wow, I'm listening to Zig Ziglar, you know. But anyway, that light bulb moment, you know, and again, I think why it's counterintuitive because you know, as business leaders, as sales personnel, what do they want? They want the bottom line. They got to make the sale. They got to meet the quota. You know, that's what it is. So like, let me get this done. Let me get my paycheck. Let me get my commission.
Hmm.
You know, and but I think some salespeople now are the generation that's behind me, so to speak. I think they're getting it. I think they're understanding to the point that, you know, I have to find out what their need is, what their want is. You
Mm.
know, otherwise I'm not going to make the sale. I'm not going to close the deal. But going back to the point, why is that counterintuitive? That if we don't help people get what they want, we're not going to get what we want.
Hmm.
You know, whether it's the commission or the sale, or better yet, in a referral or from a recruiting standpoint, I need referrals sometimes.
Hmm.
If I'm not connecting with a person that's not interested, that's not in the market looking for a job, I still have to connect with that person, man. I just can't say, well, it's nice talking to you. Thanks for taking the call. Click.
Right.
No. Hey, man, I understand you're not in the market, man. But man, dude, you got an awesome resume. Hey, what's your network like? Would you mind sharing my contact information with your network? If you know of any of your colleagues, friends, or associates, man, I would love to and I always say this, I would love to connect with them today. You know, not tomorrow, later on tonight after dinner, you know, next week. And I would love to connect with them today because going to the counterintuitive side now, I may have lost a referral.
Right.
I may have lost a good qualified candidate that this referral could have had that I could place in this seat.
Hmm.
That's going to connect with the company or what have
Yeah. And there's great value in that. Like you take care of them so well that they tell their friends about it.
you.
Um, I mean, that first tour that John Maxwell went on, the first tour guide connected so well that he wanted to come back
Yes.
to some place that he had already been. So for me, this tells me connection is so important. It will be the thing that draws people back,
Hmm.
right? It'll be the thing that draws people back. All right. So what gets in the way of connecting? There are four of them. Did you want to highlight a couple of those things that are mentioned?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll take the first two:
Okay.
immaturity and ego. Okay, immaturity, not seeing others' perspectives. Like, okay, I can only see this from my standpoint. You know,
Mm,
I'm not mature enough yet to see what the other person's need is or how I can connect with them. When you're promoted as a young leader, right, or you're just learning about leadership, the first thing that we're told is like, you lead, you're in charge, you know, you supervise, you don't get your hands dirty or what have you don't pitch in. That's not true, man.
no.
You have to pitch in, you have to communicate, what do we need to complete this task or what have you know. And sometimes, let's face it, you get subordinates that just don't want to answer the question, they just want to get it done. No, can we just get out of here and get this done? And then, you know, but that immaturity aspect is like, you know, again, it goes back to that phrase, just do what I tell you to do
Hmm.
and your life will be so much easier. You know? And I think that immaturity ties into ego as well, because you know we get the big head, man. I got this done, I got this accolade, and I got this award. I made it about me and not about the team.
Mm,
You know, so when I make it about me and not about the team, that's where that immaturity just kind of, I don't know if the foundation would be ego in that case or immaturity would be the foundation
right.
in that case. But either way, it's a negative consequence for both. You might be growing and excelling a little bit. You know, people are giving you a pat on the back, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
But you're really not, again, in our business, what do? We add value, we impact. We add value, we impact. We make it about the other person. And when it comes to immaturity and ego, I'm not making it about the other person. I'm making it about me. And that's not right. That's not right. That's not
Right.
fair to that other person.
Right. Right. I totally concur. The next two are failure to value everyone and insecurity. So, failure to value everyone, judging someone's worth and then deciding, they're not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're not worth it. Therefore, I'm going to mail it in. Therefore, I'm going to do all the talking. Therefore, it's the me show. And I've actually had leaders like this.
Mm-hmm.
If they thought you were in a position of power and influence, they treated you incredibly well.
Mm.
But if they thought they were in a higher position of influence than you, they cut you off all the time. They never stopped talking. They totally ignored what you were saying. And
Yep.
it was exactly what this was. Everyone felt turned off and disconnected by them. And they
Yeah.
developed a terrible reputation. And then the funny thing is, Joe, they would ask, why doesn't anyone want to work with me? And I'd be like,
Really?
are you not aware of how you impact people?
Yeah.
So that failure to value everyone, I've seen that in real time.
Mhm.
And I've been guilty of this as well. I think I've been guilty of this as well at some points in my life where, oh, that's the decision maker. I want to get to them and discard everyone else. Or that's a potential customer or whatever. We can do that. I like the professor who had the test,
Yeah.
and the last question on the test was, what is the name of the was it the lady the janitor?
Janitor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is the name of the janitor? And they were like, wait, does this count as a portion of our grade? And it was like, this is one of the most important things you can learn is connecting with and treating people important, even if you don't think they are in a position of high importance. You value everyone. I love that. I mean, couldn't teach a better lesson. And then next is insecurity, focusing too much on self,
Mm.
right? Joe, I think arrogance and insecurity are two separate sides of the same coin.
Oh my God. Yeah. You're
I do.
right,
I
Brian.
think arrogance and insecurity are two separate sides of the same coin. Because people inwardly are insecure and unsure of their value, they have to continually keep filling up that bucket because
Yeah.
they think it has holes.
Mm.
The bucket that contains their value. So they are perpetually insecure.
Oh
And
man,
so
I
they
love
have
it.
to outwardly keep trying to convince people that they're good and smart and worth it and educated and all this other stuff. It's like, dude, you have value.
Mhm.
Stop trying to prove it and rest in the fact that you have value and treat
Yeah.
other people like they're very, very important. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we moved on from
Yeah, man. I love everything that you just said, especially about the janitor that John gives an example of. I think there were a bunch of medical students, right?
I think
Can't
so.
remember
Yes.
exactly, but I had that same scenario in my master's program. That was one of the questions on my exam.
Mm,
Who's the guy that opens up this building and closes it for you to come in here and take your classes? That
mm,
was a question on the exam. I knew the guy's first name. I always said hi to him. Hey, how's it going? Nice, super nice guy too. And but the question was, what was his first and last name? I'm like, well, I got half of it right.
right. I got his first
But,
name.
yeah, but it wasn't enough for the test. But to John's point and to your point, Brian, is that I connected with the guy. I was, hey man, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Oh,
Yeah.
doing good. Yeah, hey man, at one point I was, hey man, thanks for opening up the building. And dude, you're always here on time or ahead of time for us. Because we had one person always late. Whether it was 10, 15 minutes, but they were late.
Mhm.
But for us, this guy just being there 10, 15 minutes early, it was more than enough.
Mhm.
That guy opening up and closing the building added value to us as grad students.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to your point about John's story, Brian, is that it was just it made it. Now I have memorable experiences from my master's program, but why does that one stick out? you know, Connection
Right, right.
about
And
others.
his value is if I don't open the doors, y'all can't get in here and get educated. Because I literally have the key to where you go to get educated for your program.
Yeah.
So that person is incredibly important. This
Mhm.
reminds me of Kim. We partnered in our company. We partnered with the Raleigh Satellite Office of the Missouri Department of Mental Health. Kim opens the door.
Yeah.
She's the front. She's the first person you see. Her attitude is unbelievable, Joe.
No.
She's like walking sunshine. And
Oh, wow.
she's not the director. She's not the assistant director, but Kim is the one who opens that locked and very secure door and can get you where you need to go. So I have a responsibility this weekend, write her a thank you note because she doesn't get a lot of pub or anything, but she,
Mhm.
just like the gent who opened the door, they literally open the door to the thing that you need to do inside there. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna reach for something real quick.
yeah,
Pardon me.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
the thing is that when you do that, when you write her that little thank you note, man, if I could make a recommendation, brother, bam,
Oh yeah,
give her one of
yeah, give her one
those.
of those. Absolutely, Joe. That's
Yeah,
a great
because
idea. I'm gonna do
she
that.
was the
I'm
10
gonna
plus for
absolutely
you,
do that.
man. Yeah.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea. So I'm gonna share this engagement prompt for when people watch this later. Joe, I know a ton of people are going to watch this later and get great value from it. So, which of these four do you relate to most? All right, think about it: immaturity, ego, not valuing others, or insecurity. Which one of those four is the heaviest to you blocking connection in your life? So just
Uh,
think about that. And
yeah.
whenever our audience, whenever they watch this video again, just think about it, marinate on it, and then figure out, okay, how can I overcome that? Right?
Yeah.
How can I overcome that? All right. This is one of my favorite parts. Three
Okay.
questions people ask about you.
Ooh, man, three questions people ask about me.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Yeah. And I like this because as a leader, we have to genuinely care for somebody, about others. And more so, we have to take care of ourselves first, self care, and then take care of the other ones, or we can't take care of them. But does he care for me? Does this individual really care for my development, my success, my health? uh, Potentially developing relationships down the road. How can we help? How can I help this person do this? How can he help me? And those aren't selfish questions. I think those are great questions. And can I trust him? Can I trust you?
Mm,
Trust is a big factor in leadership, and I think it deals with character as well. In terms of, like, does this person have a good leadership quality in terms of character, and can I trust him or her?
mm.
All three of these questions are very important. And I would hope that, and I wish I would have had these questions that I would have just asked subordinates as I was coming through the ranks, but I think they're really good, and they need to be addressed.
Yes.
They need to be addressed. First of all, does he care for me? Does he care about my success? If I have a personal problem that I'm dealing with at home, can he get me to the right referral agency to help me out? Because obviously we're not SMEs and everything.
Hmm.
Do I have resources at my fingertips that I can help this person to take
Yes.
care of? You know, and that goes into that genuine care. And yes, then we can say, then hopefully that person will say, I trusted this guy, and you need to trust him too. And here's why.
Hmm. For
So
sure.
I think these are these are just great questions that need to be, man, that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
But we need to ask it as leaders in order to connect effectively, though.
Yes,
We need to ask it.
absolutely. Yeah. And so I put these questions on I put these questions on everyone that I meet,
Yes.
right? And then
Mhm.
and then I try to answer those questions that I see on everyone else. So
Yeah.
then, whenever I approach, right, I think I'm a normal person, but people tell me I'm not a normal person, right?
You're right.
And so whenever I meet people, I am trying to answer that question for them as soon as I possibly can. Does he
Yeah.
care for me? Does he care?
Yes.
Meaning, do I value their time? Do
Mhm.
I value their name? Do I ask them how they're doing? Do I ask them what's important to them?
Mhm.
Do I ask them, their goals, their highlights, their whatever? That shows and proves that you care. When they're hurt, am I there?
Right.
When they have a problem, am I focused on trying to solve their problem, or am I focused on trying to do my own thing?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I always go like I'm almost like an engineer where so if the question is, do you care for me? Well, how do I prove to them that I care for them?
Right.
And that will guide my actions. The next one's, can you help me?
Can you
Right?
help me?
First, I got to ask myself as a connector, what can I do to help you?
Yes.
What can you help? Because like everybody has their different thing that they need,
Right.
right? Like
Exactly.
you might be trying to figure out a problem, right? I don't know what that is. So I've got to approach you with, hey,
Mhm.
Joe, how can I help you win in the area that you are challenged with now?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh man, I love it. I love it.
Doesn't that makes it does it just makes more sense for me to
Yeah.
approach you on that basis rather
Yep.
than yapping in your ear about something that you don't even care about right now.
Yes.
And then the third thing
Oh
is
man.
yeah, I can pause if you want.
No, no. I mean, keep going, man.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah,
third
keep going.
thing is trust there's a formula to trust,
Oh, I want to hear this.
right? There's a formula to trust.
Mhm.
Because what I learned a long time ago is we use words, but we've got to be able to define what they are because some people
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Trust is consistency,
Mhm.
competence,
Hmm.
and care, right?
Wow.
So if I am competent and I am consistent with this thing, so I can't just be good on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Mhm.
I can't because I don't trust a bridge that only works on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm never going to drive across that thing.
Now you said consistency, competence.
Consistency, competency, and care.
I love it. I'm going to put this in the chat for the
Oh,
folks.
cool, 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 cool. Right? Because I think of a bridge,
Mhm.
an actual bridge. I am not driving across that bridge unless it's proven to be a quality bridge,
Mhm.
structurally sound. So there's the competency.
You're right.
It's got to get people from point A to point B. The
Mhm.
second thing is it needs to be consistent. This bridge in town, it can't be falling apart every Monday. It
No,
can't. Like I'm
no,
not driving
not at
on it.
all.
Yeah. I'm not gonna drive on it if it's falling apart every Monday and needs to be repaired every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And so trust requires consistency. So I need the same Joe V. Hill every day.
Yep. Yes.
And people need the same Brian Rush every day if they're going to
Every day.
develop trust in me. And it
Mhm.
takes time. And then
Right.
lastly, with all my competency and my consistency, I've got to turn that thing to benefit them.
Hmm.
A bridge in Ohio right now, it does not benefit me right now because I don't need it. I'm here in
Right.
Missouri.
Hmm.
But the bridge that benefits the person at the time that they need it, that benefits them. So competency, consistency, and care are the ingredients of trust. And when people first see you, man, if you reek of self-centeredness, you're leaking trust.
Oh my gosh, man. I gotta that analogy you gave about the bridge. If I can cross it today, great. If I can't cross it tomorrow, what good is it? I,
Mhm.
I love the way you just put that together for me.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned that bridge, I'm thinking about a bunch of engineers, a group of engineers that are a team that are building this bridge. I can't just trust in the one guy. I got to trust in the entire team. I got to trust in their competency and their consistency so I can cross that bridge multiple times a day or once a day, twice a day, what have you. I have to trust in their consistency that they're doing the right thing on that bridge. Okay. I got to trust in their competency that they know the technical skills to put this thing together, you know, and they care about the work that they do and they care about their team members, about the work that they do, and ultimately caring about everybody else that is crossing that bridge
Come on.
because you're connecting from you for you from to go back here to cross that bridge and to go to the other side to connect with others. Look, dude, I love the way you put that in perspective for me, man. That's what I love about these conversations, man. The way you take something and just provoke me to thought
Yeah.
in these things, man.
If,
Thanks,
I'll,
brother. I
I'll,
appreciate that, man.
I'm honored. I'll make this personal. So Joe V. Hill, I saw social media of you before I met you.
Oh,
Then I got on LinkedIn and I was like, okay, this guy's a fellow Maxwell trainer, speaker, coach. And then I met you, and your immediate character was, I will bring all of my competency, experience, and consistency to care about the thing that is important to you.
yes.
That was immediate, right? And
Yeah.
so then I said, I will connect with this man and align with this man because his bridge has proven consistent and
Oh
caring
man.
and competent. Therefore, I'll do whatever I can for this person.
Oh,
As a person, that's exactly what you did with me. We sat and had several discussions, and you were just like, how can I help you in the area that is important to you?
yeah.
That's a bridge I'll walk across.
Oh my God, man. Thank you so much, dude. I mean, it was. I remember the meeting too, man. It was incredible. You know, I saw your social media stuff as well. I'm like, and he lives right here in the same county as I.
Yeah.
We can sit down and have coffee.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that was, and you know, and I met your beautiful wife, Charisma. She's awesome too. The way you guys connect and work with each other in this business and get other couples to connect with each other as well. You guys do incredible work in that aspect, man. If people aren't connecting with you and attending those events that you put together, man, they need to.
I'm honored.
There's, yeah, they need to, man.
Yeah,
You
I'm
guys do
honored.
great work together. You know, team rush, man.
Yeah, I'm honored. You helped the first one be the success that it is. People are lined up and asking for when the next one is.
Oh,
It's Couples Connect. We teach couples how to really unlock the relationship that they're in with them with their spouses. And Joe heard about it, and Joe was just like, "What can I do with what I bring to the table, and how can I help and serve and help this be a win?" No ego,
right.
no self interest. He just wanted to connect and serve. And for me, like, you sure are the personal example of all the concepts that how you did that was exactly answering those three questions. Does he care for me? Yes. Can he help me? Yes. Can I trust him? Yes. All right, let's rock and roll.
All
Right?
right.
Like
Praise God.
you did the thing. You
Praise
did the
God.
thing. Yeah. Let's see. Why these matter in every interaction, business, friendships, and teams. I think that's evident why these matter in every interaction, business, friendships, and on teams. Actually, you want to get into that? It's 8:51 now.
Mhm.
We can actually, yeah, let's end on those. Why do those three matter in business, friendships, and teams? And then maybe give people maybe a prompt or a challenge as they
Yeah,
go into the next chapter, which we'll be talking about chapter 3 next.
absolutely. Yeah. So on these, you know, why these matter in every interaction. You said business, friendships, and teams. We are not an island unto ourselves, right? We are social creatures. That's how God created us. He is the divine creator. He, you know, he wanted to have fellowship with us, and
Mm,
we should want to have fellowship with him, and in turn, having that fellowship with one another. You know, and if we're not doing that, you know, we're going to live as hermits, you know, under a bridge or something like that. And I just think it's not healthy. It's not healthy mentally, physically, you know, socially, or health, any of that. You have to have those teams, whether you're working somewhere, you operate in your own business, or you know, friendships. I don't care if it's the Tuesday night bowling league, man,
right.
or you know, the Friday afternoon chess club. You know, you have to have that sort of interaction, and you're going to find out whether or not those three questions can be answered. You know, and you may not be asking those questions, but eventually you're going to be like, yeah, this person, like you mentioned, this person does care for me, can help me, and they trust me, and I can trust them. So these matter ultimately just by being the way we are. We have to connect socially and physically, not just via social media, not just via Zoom or Teams calls. You know, we
Hmm.
got to have that. that personal touch, that interaction, handshakes, hugs, or whatever. Hey brother, great to see you, man. How you doing? Shaking hands. How's the wife? How are the kids? Man. What, you got fired? Oh man, sorry. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be there, just to lend an ear to us. What can I do to help? So I think those things are very important, that we have to ask those questions. And, sometimes we have to ask for help ourselves. Like, hey man, I just really need to know if you care a little bit. I kind of need something today.
Mm-hmm.
If not, we're just not going to be successful in any of those three areas: business, friendships, or teams.
Right. Right. So true. So
Mm-hmm.
true. That impacts all of those: parenting, business, friendships. If you
Mm-hmm.
can answer those three questions proactively before they even have to ask,
Yes.
your relationships and your ability to connect with people, it is going to
Mm-hmm.
go to the next level. And we're only in chapter 2, which is amazing. But if you can answer those questions, can I trust you? Can you help me? Do you care for me?
Right.
Proactively before they have to ask it. I think you're in a good position. So we discussed some operating questions that we wanted people to be thinking about between the weeks that we're covering the chapters. Do you remember those questions that we wanted to prompt them for?
Yeah. So one of the things. So when we go into chapter three and the chapters after that as well. So what we would like our audience to resonate, just as they read the next chapter, here's some questions to consider. Uh, what is one of your favorite quotes from the chapter that you're reading? Okay. One of those quotes, like we mentioned Zig Ziglar, he said, if you help enough people get what they want, they're going to help. People are going to start helping you get what you want. That's one of
Mm.
my favorite quotes as well. Uh, what is one of your favorite stories from this chapter? We kind of highlighted a couple of them, but I think the one that we touched on the most was the Carlos story.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what are some of the things I can apply to my life from this chapter? So we want to provide some of these thought-provoking questions, not so over the top, but just something that could help you as well. Help our audience, help ourselves. We want to continue to grow and develop as well, Brian and I as well. So we want
Yes.
folks to kind of look at these things. And the next one is, what can I change about myself? And a lot of people just don't want to change. They just don't want to. They kind of like where they are in that comfort zone. But if you get out of your comfort zone a little bit, you can start changing things about yourself. And the fifth one is, what did you read in this chapter? Or we're talking about chapter 3 for next week. What did I read in this chapter that I can teach to someone else and help make them better? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those questions in the chat
Perfect.
for our audience as well. So that's in there. We got some great things going on as we're doing this, Brian. Man, I love the way you orchestrated everything and pulled me in. And man, and like I told you over the phone, I think it was yesterday or the day before, when we got off this call last Saturday, when we ended the meeting, I was already immediately excited about today. So guess what's happening right now? I'm already excited about next
Same
Saturday.
here.
Oh,
Same
man.
here.
Yeah.
Same here. So you're starting your day off doing something amazing. You're learning. This is like a learning group. You're
Yeah.
sharpening your tool. We're refreshing our minds on what is essential to connection. I'm taking away, okay, this is what I've got to do to be better, kind of answering those questions. And I really feel like, my cup is getting filled by having these Saturday morning
Yes.
conversations. So the
Mhm.
connector circle is truly like being a benefit to me, blessing me, adding peace and direction to my life. So I just think it's good. I say continue on. We're going to keep doing this thing. Once sooner or later, our weeks are going to get like less crazy, so we can start to promote a little bit more. But what
Yeah.
we're doing, we are again, we are establishing good principles.
Oh
So
yeah.
so when the hundreds or when the 50s and hundreds are here, we already on principle know how to conduct these well. So yeah,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
honored. I'm honored.
Oh man, this mastermind that is put together, Brian. Thank you so much. I mean, it's incredible. I'm getting value. I mean, I'm being impacted, man.
Awesome.
And yeah, you're just providing so much.
Yeah.
The way we connected on this stuff, man. Thanks again, brother. I mean, you're doing incredible work, man.
Likewise, likewise, absolutely, likewise, and this and many more things we're going to align and partner on. I do have one caveat before I close this out. There's a fourth ingredient to trust, and I forgot it: communication. Getting people information that they need in time enough for it to be of use and value is a part of trust.
Oh, I
If you
love
know
it.
something and you don't share it, that's going to erode trust. So the fourth ingredient, again, I ask for your forgiveness. So the fourth ingredient, so it's competency, consistency, communication, care.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah,
gonna edit that.
yeah,
I'm gonna take care of that.
perfect.
Right. We're gonna let the audience marinate on that.
Oh yeah,
Let's see. And let's see. So trust is consistency, competency, communication, and care.
yes, absolutely,
Love it.
absolutely.
There it is.
Well,
We
Joe,
just
I'm a, oh, sorry to cut you off.
oh no, I was just letting you know we just updated that as well
Awesome.
in the
Well,
chat
listen, I'm
bar.
going to call this one a win. I thank you for your time. Thank you for building this. Thank you for building this amazing vehicle with me. Thanks for having these conversations. Thanks for being my teacher. And thanks for bringing these things to mind, sharpening my tool. And I hope I'm doing the same. I hope I'm doing the same thing for you.
Oh man, without a doubt, brother. Without
Yes.
a doubt. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm going to promote this a little bit better. Medically, I'm feeling a lot better.
Awesome.
So yeah, thank you so much for your input and your guidance. I'm going to end this like I'll end all of anything that I'm on. That's all we have for this time. And until next time, my friends, connect, inspire, and win.
All right. God bless you, my friend.
Hey, you too.